In this video, I'm going to talk about my Lightning Tendrils Raider, which is a character I used last league that actually required Sandstorm Visage and Tripanon to work, but this league it's actually going to get a little bit of a facelift. So despite Sandstorm Visage being removed from the game because we don't have the Sanctum anymore, we are still going to have the option to run this, and it looks like it's going to be quite strong. And now it only has one required unique, and it is one that is very cheap. This is a build that I was able to do pretty much everything with. I think it was potentially viable once you have all of your gear sorted to do just about everything. It could trivialize pinnacles on a 6 divine budget very cheap, and that was like maybe a month into the league or less, so it'll vary, you know, prices of things do vary, but it's going to be much less reliant on very specific jewels, and it's going to have more potential for power, even though it did get some of its power taken away from it. So I'm going to go ahead and go through the changes and how I think this is all going to go down. So right here we have the changes to Lightning Tendrils. Lightning Tendrils now do 1 to 6 lightning damage at gem level 1, previously 1 to 4, scaling up to 75 to 1420 at gem level 20, previously 55 to 1052, and has a 130% effectiveness of added damage at all gem levels, previously 100. Stronger Pulse no longer deals 200% more damage with hits. Instead, Stronger Pulse always critically strikes. Now releases a Stronger Pulse every 3 pulses instead of every 4. So there's a couple of things here to look at. A couple of things to look at from that. First of all, it's losing the 200% more damage with every strong pulse. This was huge. And there's also a change to the Phantasmal version, which is instead of doing at 20 quality 15% less damage overall and then an extra 250% damage with the stronger pulse, it now does 30% less damage with 150% more for the stronger pulse. Just looking at this, it seems like it actually might in some ways be a nerf, but the thing is, in order to get this to work, before we had to jump through hoops using Sandstorm Visage and the Tripanon to get 100% crit. A nice thing about crits, they're guaranteed to shock, they're guaranteed to freeze. This build did use Call of the Brotherhood. Pull up the POE here. This is the character. I have it configured to doing Guardians and Pinnacles. If we were to switch it over to Uber Pinnacles, about 4 million Uber DPS and about 13.5 just regular Pinnacle DPS. And the hoops that I had to jump through, I had to have Tripanon, had to have Sandstorm Visage. Doppelgangers, guys, is just really good, but that's not necessary. Commander of the Pit, same thing. And that now the only actual kind of mandatory unique is going to be Marlene's Fallacy. And I'll put the POB and the link to my video from last league in the description so you can see how it works. In that video, I do some mapping, I fight Cirrus and that kind of thing, so you get to see how it works. But I also use Call of the Brotherhood to put half of the damage to cold so that I can use Herald of Ice, which is my only offensive aura, by the way. I do this much damage with no offensive aura. I have like Vitality, Clarity, Arctic Armor, and Grace and Petrified Blood. So I literally just have a Herald for offense. The way that it worked is I would just get that. Now we free up a helmet slot, we free up a wand slot, and we free up a shield slot. So currently 45k effective health pool, and then if we get rid of Steel Skin, it goes down to like 27k. Still fairly substantial, and we're particularly strong against if we're standing still and we're against like physical and chaos damage, which is why the build is so good against Cirrus. But the effective health pool should go way up because of the access to a shield and helmet that can have life on it. We can get reservation efficiency via essence crafting on the helmet. We could run a heat shiver since we're converting half of our damage into cold damage, which already currently with the Call of the Brotherhood we are running Trinity, so we would be able to do all 3 types of damage that way. Really big. The damage effectiveness is going up, so things like Awakened Added Lightning are going up. Because the base damage is scaling, levels are going to be even more important, so Awakened Added Lightning is going to be even better. And then like gem levels you get from wands, amulet, well, we can't do the amulet, we need the amulet, but wand and shield are going to be really good. Marlene's Fallacy is the only necessary unnecessary unique, and it gives it at minimum, I believe, 240 global crit multi all the way up to 288 with a perfectly rolled one with quality. So that is a very big deal there. I believe this one does have 20% quality, and it's like 1 off a perfect roll, or 1 or 2% off a perfect roll. We could do something like Heat Shiver and Annoying. When I convert this over, it's going to brick this, but we are very close to Winter's Embrace, so we can get the 60% freeze duration there. We have some new potential tools as far as, you know, freezing the bosses, but our average hit is very, very high, so freezing is going to be pretty easy, even against pinnacles. If we go ahead and pull up Lightning Tendrils and look at our freeze duration, because of the ailment threshold, the ailment threshold is still pretty good here, even without any additional freeze duration. It's 1.8 million. Yeah, we're gonna have a decent chance if we invest a little bit into that. Yeah, we're not losing that much, and we're gaining a lot. Also, because it's a guaranteed crit, one of the things we can do, and I'm going to go ahead and simulate that, is we could get Controlled Destruction. Controlled Destruction is a huge more multiplier for spells, 39%. Compare that to like Infused Channeling, which does 24% more, or something like even Trinity, which is very, very good, will only be 30% more. Now granted, this also has penetration, 16% elemental penetration, but that's a very big deal, or 25% more in the case of inspiration. So if we get rid of this, and in order to simulate the guaranteed crit, since I have it set only to the big pulse, I'll just type in like some absurd number like 1,000,000% increased critical strike chance, and boom. So yeah, we get a considerable amount of potential DPS there. Maybe not super considerable, but it is, you know, another like almost about 1.5 million more DPS that way. So maybe like 8-9% more DPS. We'll be able to add that. So we are going to lose a lot of damage with the Phantasmal, but the rate at which it pulses, the minimum freeze duration, if we can get freezes going, the minimum freeze duration before it's thrown out is 0.3 seconds. In this setup, I'm casting 11.17 casts per second, which would currently be less than 3 big pulses per second, just short of 3 big pulses per second. This would be almost 4 big pulses per second, which means that we basically would guarantee, if we're casting, to keep full-time freezes up, 100% freezes if we are able to freeze. So guaranteed perma-freeze with a huge cold damage hit, like really, really large cold damage hit, skill average hit, and that'll be about half cold with an average 1.2 million hit. Now granted, the number is going to look different. I won't exactly be able to calculate it out, but I think I did some quick math that I'm not going to show because I'm not confident it's right, but I was showing like a 4% DPS loss currently, but I didn't factor in a lot of the stuff you can get from like wands. That was with a +3, so +1 lightning gems on a shield and +2 on the wand and nothing else. I was looking at a 4% DPS loss. If you start adding cast speed and crit multi on the wand as well, you're probably going to see a DPS increase, and then yeah, the potential you could get from the helmet and potentially adding in some other stuff. So one of the other things I was looking at here, is because we can get more resistances on helmet and shield that we didn't have available, we can actually run a unique pair of boots. And one of the ones I was looking at is Bubonic Trail. The new Bubonic Trail has 24%, potentially 16 to 24% increased reservation efficiency while affected by a unique Abyss Jewel. We would just take the one that gives the increased effect of Arcane Surge, which granted Arcane Surge was nerfed. Instead of 10% more spell damage, it's now going to give 10% increased attack speed. So that jewel won't do a lot on its own. However, if we have the unique jewel in, we'll get 24% generic increased reservation. Currently, we have 45% unreserved life with petrified blood. If I were to type in 24% increased reservation efficiency, we would have 54% increased unreserved life. And then what we could do is there's this new life mastery. You count as on low life while at 55% of maximum life or below. Do that, all of a sudden, huge, almost 20%. It's like 17 or so percent increase in our life pool, in our effective life pool. Really big increase as far as that goes. Now, it doesn't really affect it yet because a lot of the masteries don't work in this new POE beta yet. Yeah, this is going to be a very large increase in our effective health pool. As you can see, unreserved life 1690 compared to without this mastery, it's 1346. And that's not even to mention that we're going to be able to get life potentially on our shield and helmet. And once you start adding in potentially running Heat Shiver, that could be just a straight up roughly 33% more damage boost. Really large damage boost. So even if we're 4% less damage, when we factor in the potential for cast speed on the wands, flat damage on the wands on top of the increased levels, and potentially harder scaling of the levels of gems, as well as the everything else like extra multi, a lot of my jewels here, you can look, will have like resistances on them and stuff because I needed it to fix my resistances because of running Tripanon and having to run so many uniques in this build. That won't be necessary anymore, and those resistance slots can become cast speed, crit multi, spell damage, lightning damage, whatever. And that will be really big there as well. So probably looking at close to 20 to 30% DPS increase overall, and probably a similar, well, maybe like a 15 to 20% EHP increase. Really big. I'm really looking forward to this. Could be a little easier to manage overall as well as far as the tree, because we're also going to have like Mind Drinker potentially, so we can drop some stuff out of here, maybe drop a little damage since we increase it so much. And all of a sudden with that and the Reservation Mastery, now we have 24% unreserved mana, and we could potentially run some sort of damage aura. I don't know if we could fit in Wrath. Doesn't look like it, but all those resistance rolls on our jewels could be like reservation efficiency, and we could get, I think I only have reservation efficiency on one of my jewels overall. If I get it on the other 4 jewels that I have socketed in, rare jewels, that could be up to 12% increased mana reservation efficiency. And if we have that, I think I must have, I typed increase twice, that's it. All right, if we have that, all of a sudden, we actually do have some mana left over. Now, granted, we might run low real quick, might have to fix some things there, but even the potential of running Wrath, and we can run a Reservation Hunters or Shaper Shield and put our bigger auras in there, like our Wrath and Grace, and potentially like something else, Petrified Blood. We just throw these 3 in a shield with reservation efficiency, bam, easy, and we have plenty of mana left. And that is a very large damage increase, 27%. So possibility, we could hit like 20 million Pinnacle Boss DPS and over 55k effective health pool, particularly effective against things like Cirrus and that kind of thing. And yeah, just taking down Ubers, possibly even tanking Ubers, who knows. So I think this build has a lot of potential. I talk about the idea, but basically if you don't have to build crit chance at all, the overall idea is that you just stack as much crit multi as possible and cast speed as possible with the very insane base cast speed of the skill, and you should be able to just absolutely crush things. So I just wanted to go over this thought concept. I know I got a lot of views on the video last league, and I just want to tell people that the build is alive and well, and it is very much something that you can play. Probably not a league starter, might be a little expensive, but you could maybe do it and work your way up. Like I said, once you do get the Marlene's Fallacy, which you can get at level 40, you're only only going to lose a little bit of damage in the early game, possibly not even lose any damage depending. I haven't really done the math, but you might actually gain damage with the damage effectiveness and everything. And because the crit is just 50% more damage every 3 casts now, and then once you hit Act 2 and you get the crit multi-jewel, it could actually end up being more damage at that point. So you might not level Lightning Tendrils anyway, because who wants to sit on Brutus with Lightning Tendrils and just get smacked to death? But, you know, it is a possibility. And I think I explained Raider in the video, but just to reiterate, Raider gets a lot of free cast speed. And also just the easy access to avoid ailments, 20% exposure, and a lot of spell suppression just makes it very easy to level. So you're basically getting a built-in like almost 50% cast speed just for being Raider, actually probably a little more than 50% just for being Raider. And you're mostly taking cluster jewels anyway, so nothing else matters, like as long as you can kind of get up to like Throat Seeker and nimbleness and some of these things, and then grab influence and charisma and plenty of jewel sockets, and that's pretty much it. So you just need access to as many. It's also one of the few spellcaster builds that has very easy access to frenzy charges, which is another more damage multiplier. Hope you enjoyed. This has been Ryan from Behind Eyes Gaming, and I will see you next time. Bye.